that thing. I did that thing where I tweeted it out and I said, I double dog dare you to just pretend like your productivity isn't going to be affected by hanging out at the Night Attack happy hour.
Yeah, but we took different paths in our tweets because I was like, hey, if you're on the East Coast, preserve your work-life balance by coming and hanging out with us. It's past 5 o'clock. Boss man ain't going to look over your shoulder now. Congratulations. You're already at the bar if you click over to twitch.tv/Night Attack. And you were like, hey, screw off. Who wants to go smoke cigarettes in the parking lot?
Now that might have been partly because I definitely just spent an hour screwing off. Like I did. Today was doing invoices day, which is the tedious, most difficult part of being the boss man for me. And there definitely came this breaking point where around 2:55, I walk in, I like kick in the door like the Kool-Aid man, and I find Corey, who's in the middle of working on cleaning the place, and I'm like, who wants to play ping pong, bro?
Yeah.
And then on our way out, I just lean over and I'm just like, hey man, we're all gonna play ping pong, you in? And then John was like, who needs to work on Modern Rogue? I'm gonna play ping pong.
So everybody has abandoned their posts for the sake of ping pong.
Just for a little bit, but it's funny how just having some kind of nucleus and ping pong, as far as socially distant sporting events, little games to play, pretty good.
Yeah.
You stay pretty far from each other. Even if you have a third person watching and calling out the shots, you're all in the same room, hustling and bustling. But, if it's a 2,000 square foot soundstage, it doesn't feel like you're right up on each other's balls.
No. I would say there we go. What other games would exist for social distancing?
All right, well, here, let's bring in, we've got returning back in her role, back to being invisible, ladies and gentlemen, the invisible wife. I told, keep talking for me, girl.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
You want to set my levels?
Yeah, that's what
You want to hear what my beautiful voice sounds like?
Do you want to tell the story about that dude who kept calling you beautiful, beautiful Bonnie?
Yeah, I suspect he was just trying to remember his client's name because I was a frequent visitor. But one time he totally freaked me out because, he has kind of those like wild, I've seen some stuff eyes, but I've had a lot of therapy, so I'm mostly okay look. And I came in and he goes, Bonnie, beautiful, beautiful Bonnie in his eyes. And I was just like, yeah, I'd like my slushy, please.
Slushy.
Well, whatever it is, my blended.
You were convinced that he was high.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was high, and is probably high a lot. But he's also keeping it together.
Well, to Justin's question,
Yeah.
what are some of the best social distant games you could play? Cornhole, I think, would be one of them.
Oh yeah, cornhole.
Because you're very far from each other on that.
And you have your own bags that you grab.
You grab your own bag.
Yeah.
So if you're also checking for lumps while you're
Right.
playing.
Nothing worse than playing with a lumpy bag, right?
Horseshoes?
Horseshoes?
Man, okay, not for nothing, but I love that we got a rotating cast of regulars. It's great to see old faces coming back, but also new faces. I don't remember when Ho Nuts started showing up, but I know one thing. I don't think I've ever seen Ho Nuts in the chat without talking about how he or she is high. Like, just every single time. What else, Justin? We got horseshoes, we got cornhole, we got ping pong.
Oh, wait, sorry. I didn't know we were back on that. I went up to go get a beer.
No, that's fine. Hey, man, in the tradition for happy hour, what are you drinking?
Oh, shit. I don't even know what this is. An Eager Eagle.
Ooh.
A double dry hopped hazy American IPA from New World. Wait, yes.
Wait,
I have no idea.
New
It had a
World?
big old eagle on it, and I'm feeling, tapped into the patriotic American spirit. So I figured I would support our country.
Do you
These
think
don't run, but these beers sure will get lighter as I demolish them in my anxiety.
there's money in making a factory that has two like shell corporations, one of which, and all of your beers are named on actively political social issues, like the pro-life beer, the pro-choice beer, the invade Iraq beer, the
So like just take your beers and you literally just skin them based on whatever the thing of the time is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
or not even
like
of the time. Like imagine it's like the Great Society beer or whatever. Like going back to.
But if we were sticking with it on modern times, you would have Medicare for ale.
Oh,
Yes,
what?
you know. Okay, that's pretty good. Man, has somebody made? They should make a beer called Lagerwulin. That's like fermented in Lagavulin casks.
Oh, where it's all smoky and bacon.
Smoky basin. Smoky basin.
Yeah, you could do the Green New Belgium deal. Border distancing.
I feel like they're already playing that game with half of the hops. You know, Hopageddon, the Hopocalypse.
Oh yeah, it would be. It'd be
AS Lovern points out in the chat, they already did, bros. It's called Corona. Bold take. Bold maneuver from Modelo.
We might actually have number one on the board for our Family Feud game. It's just Corona.
Man, that's going to be tough to beat.
Man, where are you now? I mean, like, there is the fact that we've decided to do it.
Oh, we got a little bit of a hiccup there.
Weeks in
Sorry,
American
we heard as far as there is the fact that we decided to do a.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I'm kind of frozen here in a ridiculous position.
I mean, it's kind of badass if you ask me. Oh, there you go. He left. Oh, there it is. And that's the kind of thing we would worry about on a proper show, but at happy hour, that just happens.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So, we decided this extra comedy show in what may or may not be one of the more depressing weeks in American history. But
what do you mean? Today was good news. I woke up this morning and the sunshine was pouring in. Wait, is that right? That's that Kenny Rogers song, right? No, except for he didn't write it. Pouring in, I got something brown paper bag from within. I got up so tight I couldn't unwind. Something blew my mind. I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. But the good news this morning.
That is Kenny Rogers, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What condition was in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he pass away recently?
He did. His condition is dead. Sorry, too soon.
Doesn't matter how many times he checks in on it.
But the good news this morning was like, yo, guess what? Coronavirus, not nearly as deadly as we thought, like by a lot. Still not great, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, but the question is then it's like, all right, we might miss like 2 million deaths, but we're still going to have anywhere between, 80 to 200,000 deaths. And a lot of those are going to come in the next week, but I don't really know where to handle it. I mean, for us, because we've never really done well ignoring things. Like in fact, that's kind of one of the hallmarks of our comedy is that even the things that nobody knows about, we comedically tend to kind of like find our way on, and we keep tripping ourselves on the same tripwires. So it's like I don't know where we go. Like, are we steering into it? Are we avoiding it? Like, I mean, I guess the answer is we just kind of see how it goes from here.
Well,
But
I tell you what, I actually got a little bit worried when I saw that the headline was coronavirus not nearly as deadly as we thought. Like, my first thought was, oh, good. My second thought was, oh, shit. Everyone's going to use this as a justification to run and go outside and start breaking our curfews and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, A.S. Sliver, no happy ending. Yeah, that might be another one for our modern apocalypse beers.
Or actually the hoppy ending, and it's like showing somebody getting a massage, or it's like a full release. So it's like if you're drinking it in public, you're virtue signaling that you love handies.
There was the one with the was that you, Brian, that was actually at the wine store around the corner where we got like the brown note that actually just has a dude who shit his pants on the label?
I went back and I was going back through my timeline. It must have been like 7 years ago. And I'm like, it's still the most horrifically awful beer label I've ever seen. It's straight up just graphically depicting diarrhea flowing out of someone's tidy whities with their hairy back. And I was like, the fuck is this? And it was called the Brown Note, and it was a brown ale.
Ugh.
And the tall boy can definitely just depicted a hairy, overweight dude wearing whitey tighties with leaky brown shit all over the place.
I don't understand that. Oh, I'm kind of curious what fashion's gonna do once we go back. Do you think everybody's gonna flaunt how clean they look, or do you think they're gonna dive all in on like grunge? I don't care. I'm so like I'm cool with being dirty.
Well, this sort of brings us back to yesterday's topic that I kept
really?
going on. Yeah. In fact, Justin, would you like to see if Bonnie has the same prediction of what it's going to be like once we're allowed to go outside?
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm curious for you guys to compare notes.
Well, here, you tell Bonnie what I wouldn't let go of yesterday.
Well, no, why don't we get Bonnie? All right. Well, I guess there's really no way to set it up unless we're just leading her into it. Brian is convinced, Bonnie, that there will be unchecked, wild, pervasive sexual activity that happens immediately upon the government letting loose the reins of our shelter-at-home lifestyle. That people will be clapping those cheeks at such a ferocious frequency that it will indeed have lasting effect on our culture. What say you?
I think Brian can always dream. Oh, that's his answer to pretty much everything. He's like, and the sex goes wild. So I think I don't know. I think that this generation's like really cautious, and I think people will be dialed in on having more relationships, or like not being so fearful about having relationships, but I don't think they're just going to like, sex in the streets unless you're in Austin. And we do have a lot of homeless here that
are literally having sex in the streets. Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what. This is going to be a hard left turn away from laughs, but I haven't really heard a lot about that. That there hasn't really been a lot of like all the homeless people are dying stories in a way that I might have suspected that there would be going into this at the very least.
Yeah, well, I would think like right now the star of the show is just big numbers. Whatever big numbers you could put in your headlines is what you want to do. And the biggest number is number of infected globally. And then your second biggest number is number of infected in US. And then third biggest number is number of dead. That's going to be the star of the show for a while. I feel like it'll be a few more weeks before we get into the profiles of individuals who have passed away.
Who are well, but also it's like everyone loves the micro story, right? Like as the thing is happening and as it is still evolving and as it is still not where it will be eventually. You always love the micro. Like this, sure, coronavirus is ravaging our town, but this hot dog peddler is still out there slinging his wiener.
Well,
also slinging his wiener is this
Brian
homeless
wants
man.
that. Yeah.
I've been slinging dogs for over 50 years, and I'll be damned. I told Hitler to cram it, and I say the same to you, virus.
I mean, people come up, they say, yo, give me a dog, and I just toss it off on them. I've been tossing off dogs all day.
I've been shooting dogs. I put dogs in a gun and I shoot them at people. I say, get away from me and my dog. But then I shoot the dog at them. That's my own little joke.
I was sucking the dick of a dog. That's what I call selling hot dogs.
But anyway, enough about my OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.com/crusty hot dog.
Is that the new Sibian or Bang Bus reference? Is to drop an OnlyFans?
No, that's mainstream now. I'm telling you, man, we're gonna get the jobs report, and everyone's gonna find out that 30% of the world's economy is now fucking their neighbor busting it wide open on OnlyFans.
I don't even know what we're talking
OnlyFans.
about.
So Patreon has rules about what kind of content you could be creating and be supported by.
Right.
And if you can't get it on Patreon, there's always OnlyFans. So it's
OnlyFans is a
Patreon
different
for
type of-
anything goes.
Ooh, okay. Well,
Hey, so
over to Patreon.
you, Bonnie, you talking about slinging dogs. You got a beef with the neighborhood. They ain't separating. They're all rubbing up on each other, saying, "Ooh, Corona, who?
Ooh,
Let's make a batch of Coronials."
Yeah, no, all the kids are just elbow to elbow. They were all swimming until they finally locked the swimming pool and said, "No more swimming, guys. You know, come on." And then
Now they do that swim dance like it's 1960. Yes, there it is.
I don't know, but I don't know how they're out and doing stuff because we are trying to figure out how to get the computers to play nice with the with all the homework that we're getting, and jokes on me, none of the links work. So like 0%. I think there might be like 2 things that have actually been sent to us that you can click on and actually play or do. Because everything else is blocked.
All right, can we be frank here? And obviously you're a mom, so you have to keep the order there, Bonnie. You are the regional governor of your children's education. But let's be real.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking this semester seriously. At the end of the year, everyone's gonna get a test that you can either Google the answers to, or they're just gonna say, "Congratulations, you didn't die of coronavirus." Everyone gets an A. There's nobody that's gonna fail out on the virtual half semester.
I really hope so, and I think that that's pretty much the way. But then again, all the education is a numbers game, so they just want to be able to point to stuff like, did you do literally anything? You did do something? Great. We will all get paid. Yay.
There was definitely like the theme of today was, it's weird that I guess it makes sense that everybody would center around Facebook for all this because all the moms are probably on Facebook or whatever, but Facebook making out like a bandit right now with everybody's personal data because all of a sudden schools are literally teaching their classes on the Facebook, setting up the hashtag of the day, whatever your town is, ISD dancing day or whatever, and everybody posting animated GIFs of the principals and the teachers all dancing in their rooms with, crazy rave glasses on and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, when you get up and you perform in front of third graders all day, every day, those teachers, they got a tight, polished act that they do. They have no trouble just delivering an unbroken 8-minute speech to a camera because I assume that represents the blank stares of all the kids they usually talk to.
That's right. So today is all for all. Todo importinatos todos or something like that.
That's right. Yeah.
And my Spanish is not strong. And
nope. Todo importiatos todos.
I almost got it.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And then, so win-win. That's what we're talking about. They're like, listen, you're gonna win, and we're gonna win because we're all phoning it in. So.
Oh, I got one. How long until now? I assume in the short term, every teacher wants to believe that they are irreplaceable and that their lesson is the best lesson and that only they know their kids and all that stuff. But in this age where everything's going virtual, some people are going to be a lot better than others. And some people are going to start saying, well, as long as you're just going to watch a thing, you might as well watch this incredibly popular, exquisitely well-crafted YouTube video that explains everything. And like in Korea, there's sort of this free market. There's a teacher out there who makes a no bullshit, a $100 million a year salary. He is one of the most popular teachers in all of Korea. And like when he performs live, it is to a stadium, basically. Almost everybody experiences it live, virtualized over the internet, because the dude is good and he shows up and his lessons are tight and he performs. How long, like, is there any chance that America gets a taste of that meritocracy?
Well, there's no doubt that it's possible. The only question is then how they sell it, right? Because like we also have fame and riches that can go to a public educator, but the height of that for us is like you get an educational television show, right? Or you are in some kind of capacity a famous person in that realm. What it sounds like this dude does is like, no, I'm currently teaching, but either the school or the parents or some, combination therein can kick in money so I can do my lesson virtually for all the students. But here's what I plan on doing over the next, 6 months. Please work your lesson plans around it, but like this is going to be worth money. That would be curious if that kind of like ad hoc, here's what I'm cooking, do you want to buy it sort of model became popular. Although that would be a little bit weird because I do think culturally there is a little bit of a sensitivity in American education to like turning on the movie, right? Like like any kind of like, and then the teacher sat down and another thing played is looked at kind of as like, who's fucking danger?
Man, I mean, I'd hate to be unkind, but like, now's not the time to be on the record bashing teachers, but there's a lot of phone it in teachers out there, and I hope that they're a little tight in the collar, thinking, ooh, maybe the days of putting in that health video and leaning back are over.
Well, all I know is that many of my friends went on to become substitute teachers. Some of them went on to become actual teachers. None of them were the people that in high school I would have thought would ever be teachers. They were teachers because that was a gig that they could get. They were not teachers because they had a lifelong burning desire to educate the youth.
Oh my God. When I was in high school, I had to take, the government class, and I was so excited. I couldn't wait to learn about government. I couldn't wait to learn about economics. I couldn't wait to like start my life as an adult, I guess, and vote. Like the next year I was going to get to vote, right? Or it was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you were about to become a citizen of the United States.
Right. And I guess it was either that next year or the year after that, like I got to vote in an election. So I found that exciting and stuff. But in my government class, there was just like, it was like a mishmash of everybody. So it wasn't everybody that took school as seriously as I did. In fact, I was probably the only one in the class that actually cared about school and or that class. And I sat next to the two people that I knew, but they were pretty much just jerks that I've always known, but at least I knew them. Like everybody else I was just slightly scared of because of their underage tattoos and stuff. But
underage tattoos? The tattoos weren't 18 years old?
Yeah, well, they weren't 18, so they...
Or they depicted underage people.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was like, okay, I sit next to these people, but then constantly they're all asking me about like what kind of panties I'm wearing and what kind of, like, if I laughed when I had sex, and like these really aggressively like sexual questions that had no place in a classroom, obviously. And then the coach who was teaching it, playing the videos is just not dialed in, and it was miserable. And so like that was my experience with the phone it in classroom. And I could have done that at home without the sexual harassment. You know, that would have been all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you couldn't have done it at home in a pre-internet era, but you certainly could now.
Oh yeah, because there was no internet. But the reason I'm talking about that is because like one of the guys actually mooned me on the way home from lunch one time. They were in the car ahead of us, and they mooned us, and he was just that kind of kid, and he was always getting in trouble. But now he is a Texas State Ranger.
What?
Yes, which is like the highest honor of police force in Texas is to be.
Well, actually, the Texas Rangers is technically in the United States, only Texas, because it used to be a country, is the only state that is allowed to have its own standing army, and that's what the Texas Rangers are. Also, Kevin Mason points out that there's definitely a place for live teachers because you've got differently abled people, and of course, nobody's advocating to abolish teachers. I'm just saying that those that are phoning it in, I hope are feeling the pressure.
Yeah. Well,
that
but
now
I also like
they could all be replaced. They could be replaced by some a brilliant Korean man who apparently is so magical that his lessons transcend even the screen.
Yeah.
But then there's you really get to see where the people that shine and I mean, I think people really are celebrating their kids' stars, like the teachers that have a big effect. I know several of them my kids are missing, and certainly my elementary school teachers that connection is really missed. And so I don't know, there's a lot of value there. I wouldn't, but I know what you're saying because I definitely take those phone-in classes. So,
all right, hold on, Brian.
Yeah.
You are somebody that already does educational content.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
I do. I've run a school for many a year.
So what if you got into this market, right? You want to go full screen real quick, and you just do like Brian Brushwood. Like what subject would you feel most comfortable teaching?
I mean, I would be the Ron Swanson of government. I mean, that's that's barely an exaggeration.
Brian, unfortunately, actually, we're seeing a glut of people that want to teach government. Unfortunately, the real money here is the Brian Brushwood 9th grade literature course. So just the intro to Romeo and Juliet, 9th grade level Romeo and Juliet,
sure.
Just introducing the work and themes. All right, Romeo and Juliet, Brian Brushwood, take one and go.
All right, listen, man, you think you've seen some rated R shit? You think you've seen murders and deaths and underage sex happen? Psh. Entry level, bro. Let me introduce you to Shakespeare. A couple of 14-year-olds full on banging. And that was done in public on stage. And then a wacky Three's Company mix up. One of them straight up kills himself. The other one, like one of them fakes killing themselves. I guess that was acceptable. The other one actually kills themselves. The end. That's the next story. What do you got?
Okay, wait a minute. Title card, themes. And fade back in. Brian, themes of Romeo and Juliet.
Gang warfare. What can you do about it? Am I right? Underage sex. You can't stop it. Teach the method. Teach the controversy.
That's it. The method of underage sex.
I mean, if you're gonna hashtag both sides. I'm just saying, you gotta put it all out there. There was definitely a moment that there was I forgot what it was. There was something I was showing Josie, who's 12, and like Bonnie was really not cool with the content. And then Josie unironically says, "Mom, I've read Romeo and Juliet." And like just instantly, whatever the thing was that we were watching now just paled in comparison. Yeah. It was nothing compared to that.
You want to take a shot at some of the metaphors of Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
Symbology?
All the swords are penises to represent the homoerotic tension between all the 14-year-old dudes. And that's why they all whip them out and wave them at each other. And then they all threaten to stab each other with them. But then Dude finds literally any chick and that night decides to pledge his life to her. So theme, hashtag irresponsible coupling. That's, man, I'm a dad. I'm dad AF.
All right, there we go. I feel like you can make money doing this. So what do we gotta do? Just email a school board and say, hey, do you want this recorded content? Oops, it'll cost you. And then we hit them with a PayPal link. Like,
yeah.
what
We write moneypays@yougov.info, and we say where my check at, and then and then we send them this clip.
Yeah,
until they send me a check.
There is this entertainment site that teaches math skills, and in order to flesh out your, like, what is it, like a fantasy world, like you get a dragon or you get like a cool outfit for your little character and all that kind of stuff. It's called Prodigy. I don't know if are we talking about like, I'm going to throw it out there. Anyways. So Prodigy is this game, and man, all the kids like it. They all stand around.
It's good. It's if you've ever seen it, Prodigy is, and maybe I can actually pull up a thing of it, but it's straight up, it's the Final Fantasy gameplay engine, basically, mapped onto, you're playing Final Fantasy, only you have to, in order to execute any spell, just do a real quick math puzzle.
Right. So now Callie is like all the way into like 3rd grade because she's so motivated to get cute outfits for her little character. And then today, I mean, what's really kind of bad is like I'm peeking in, and then she goes, "Oh wait, I thought I had the most points in class. Hey, this dude has the most points. Oh well." I'm like, "Yeah, well, how do you get points? I mean, why don't you play the..." I mean, like, I'm totally upset. I was like, "Girl, you were the leader. You got to be playing the points and getting more points."
Yeah, here it is. Take a look at this. See, so you got decent art on all this stuff. You're playing for school or home or whatever, but it's full on, just straight up a boss battle between you and it's Final Fantasy, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and they also, like, they have to do a bunch of reading because, like, all the math stuff and picking stuff, and so the menus, you're figuring everything out, little logic puzzles. So that's the big winner. She's been doing that like all year, and so now that we're homeschooling, I'm just play Prodigy. I mean,
but also, like, as a parent, it's pretty dope to just full on be all like feeling good about play your video games, kid. Get out of here. Oh, that's nice helmet. What are you poor? Why don't you go get a good helmet?
I know.
This one's got a feather in it. What's wrong with you?
I just I am surprised at how much content can be pushed through that kind of format and how motivating it is, you know? So, like, they teach things. Like, so if you keep failing and you can't get ahead, then you can watch a tutorial on it, and then you can pass it and get your helmet or your cute design. So they're watching short explanation videos also, and it's so small chunks, so they're learning just a little bit at a time all the way along. It's
small
great.
chunks grow up into big hunks. That's the lesson of Romeo and Juliet.
Ooh, yeah. Okay,
big time. Take the Antua.
What's been the most surprising corner of content you found yourself in? Has there been any surprises? You find yourself in any left turns? Because for me, it's been getting my 12-year-old to watch Rick and Morty. Somehow Bonnie hasn't divorced me, and man, oh man, does Josie love it. Love it, love it, love it.
I mean, that's about the age, right? Where you've lived long enough to get enough of the dynamics, enough of the human dynamics that it's funny beyond.
And specifically, she describes like, oh man, it's really funny, but it's got the right amount of darkness that it's just mwah, chef's kiss is what she said. So like, she's old enough to get the, oh my God, I can't believe they did that, said that, showed that, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything. I mean, I've been watching The Crown. Man, this show, The Crown.
That
God
is,
damn,
oh,
they
you
got
know
the
what? That
queen.
qualifies. Explain to me. that is a on the list of the top 1,000 things that I thought Justin Robert Young would be watching right now. I don't know that The Crown would have made it.
Well, I don't know. I like British people to a point. But I like Downton Abbey. I like Doctor Who. I like British comedies. You know, like I enjoy British television. By and I would consider myself a fan, and so obviously this was something that was gigantic, and it was a huge, and it's not an uninteresting concept for a show, right? And it gets into some period, stuff of like the 50s and that stuff that time zone that I've spent a lot of time in lately. So I started watching it. Brian, I don't know, how sympathetic are you to the Queen of England? Like when you think of somebody struggling to get over problems, like how sympathetic are you to an unelected monarch?
I think you and I might differ here because I have a decent amount of pity for anybody who's born fully trapped. Like,
I'm actually with you. And I think that there are definitely like small things that are there, and you can make any situation can be made into a compelling one. I do believe that all of our drama is internal, and internally we can all kind of like associate ourselves with that. That being said,
man, you know who had it really rough? The Queen of England.
like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot. I mean, like there's just not enough moments where you're like, it's like even understanding like, okay, yeah, that is kind of screwed up. That all of a sudden your world is totally turned upside down, and your relationship with all your family is turned upside down. This is a bizarre backstabbing family to begin with. Blah blah blah. There's an entire episode, Brian, that basically revolves around this A plot. The Queen is stupid. And she knows she's stupid. And she's like, they have these flashbacks of like her as a girl being like, hey, shouldn't I learn science? And her tutor's like, yeah, right. Like, and that's it. That's the flashback. And it is to illustrate that she's an idiot, and she knows she's an idiot. And she goes to her mom and she's like, Mom, why didn't you teach me anything? And she was like, you don't need to know it. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess move on. But like every episode builds to some kind of weird conflict. And I'm going to highlight this to parody to make my point. But it's like, oh, the Queen must never put a salad fork on the other side of the dish. And she's like, but I grew up every day eating with a salad fork on the other side of the dish. And they're like, well, I don't know. And then Winston Churchill gets called. Literally, John Lithgow is Winston Churchill. And he's like, well, ma'am, I don't believe you should do that. The crown needs to have the salad fork.
Yeah, I assume. Oh man, I'm so upset. Of all the times for Skype to hiccup, it was mid Lithgow impression.
Exactly. It's whatever. And then eventually it's like the Queen makes the decision. The salad fork should not go on the other side of the plate after all. And then everyone stands up and claps, and they're like, hooray, hooray, no decision was made. We just kind of did the same thing. Hooray.
And this is a show you like?
I don't know if I like it or hate it. And also I don't know whether or not it likes or it hates itself. Because also all of the characters are very mean and selfish and awful, except for the Queen, whose job is to not do anything interesting.
God, I would love to see some show shot exactly like Tiger Kings, only it was called Actual King. And and it was just all these monarchs being as dipshit as can be. Oh man.
I mean, I think that there's, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. The acting's good. John Lithgow is definitely Winston Churchill, and that's worth the price of admission for him to just.
I'm having another cigar and more scotch. I'll be sober in the morning. You'll still be ugly.
I had to look this up. Do you know how many cigars Winston Churchill smoked a day?
Oh my God.
I feel like 7 would be a lot.
7 is a lot. Like 7 is, I mean, there's not a lot of especially he was smoking those little, like those Churchill cigars, those big barreled cigars. Those are about an hour. 7 is 7 hours. How many hours are we up in a day, right?
Well, I know that when we did an interview with one of the guys from Roma Craft Tobacco, I think he casually was like, oh, I don't know, I do 5 or 10 a day. And I thought that was a lot.
11.
No.
Oh my God.
According to whatever Wikipedia article powered the Google card that comes up when you type how many cigars did Winston Churchill smoke in a day, it was 11.
Well, what size of cigar? Were they little ones?
Oh, no. Do you think he'd be caught dead smoking a little cigar?
Oh, no. No.
He was smoking the Donkey Dong cigars. Also, I don't know if we still have the family-friendly tag on the channel right now, but it should definitely be turned off.
10 cigars, according to Cigar, 8 and 10 cigars, according to Cigar Aficionado.
When did he die? Like how
Last
old was
week, he was smoked and preserved. He was hanging. He was found at a Circle K in the beef jerky aisle. They were like, "Oh my God, that's Winston Churchill."
Oh my God. Now, I remember meeting this World War II vet, and he was like really into planes, and I think had something to do with planes during that time. I don't remember what. I have to ask my dad, and probably should. But he made model planes, and my dad was into model planes, like, you know, the kind that you fly around and everything. But my dad goes, look at his t-shirt when we get over there, because he was going to pick up some supplies. I'm like, all right. And this guy walked around constantly with a cigar. Like, he never was without a cigar in his mouth, and his shirt had all these little holes in it because the ash would just fall on his belly and stuff. And so you just wear a white, one of those white t-shirts and talking around a cigar. And his wife, this is the best part. His wife was named Ethel. You know, like the gasoline.
Or like the alcohol?
Yeah, like the alcohol or ethyl. Yeah, but it was like the fuel, like ethyl.
Yeah. No. Ethanol E85 is 15% gasoline and 85% pure ethyl alcohol, Everclear. And in fact, you can distill pure alcohol from like gasoline.
Oh my God.
Every time you see it says contains ethanol, that means contains booze. And that can be extracted from it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. That's how you know the crap's really hitting the fan. Also, if anybody can remove that family-friendly tag, that'd be great.
Wait, how are we tagged family-friendly?
Because we did Cord Killers last night, and I swooped in, and I'm inexperienced at the production side of things, and so I forgot to switch a bunch of things. Oh yeah, here. You know what? Here, I could just remove family friendly and then update. Here, hopefully we're not family friendly. Here, you verified. We're gonna refresh.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat, let me know the moment we're not family friendly, and you're gonna hear some shit.
Yeah, Brian's gonna say the C word.
Child abuse.
Oh my God. What?
How is that worse than the actual C word?
It should be worse.
So Justin, are you out and eating out at restaurants these days?
Yeah. Also, are you eating out pussy because we're not family friendly anymore?
There ain't no restaurants. That's from the before time. Bonnie.
Yeah, I was about to say, where did you get the impression? Man, Bonnie's been spoiled. She's walking into this warehouse, bunch of people playing ping pong, just thinking everything's.
No, we've been underground for effectively 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer than that, because Ashley. I mean, when Ashley got work from home, that was pretty much, the end of us kind of living normally, because she's got asthma, so I don't want to go out so much, and
Mm-hmm.
even more when it was able to do that. But we've been under official lockdown now for 2.5 weeks.
Okay, so that means no takeout or anything.
Oh,
Like-
no, takeout. Yeah, no. We've gotten stuff
Oh,
delivered.
I know where this is headed.
Yeah.
Bonnie wants to ask the question that I was asking yesterday, which is, do you trust takeout food?
Yes,
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every single one of those guys that is handling the food has this virus.
No. Okay, here's the thing.
You're cool about it.
You get the virus in your
Very
lungs.
irresponsible.
You're not, unless you're inhaling your food, which some people do, you've got to eat really weird. Like, let's say somebody has the virus, coughs all over your nugs. You've got to put the nugs in your mouth and hyperventilate and just go and have nug vapor in your lungs in order to get it.
Well, that's the thing, Brian, is you get that excited about nugs.
I do.
You
okay.
do.
So if I can demonstrate that I can eat slower, you'll feel safer.
Well,
So wait a minute, Bonnie. So you are anti-delivery.
I am seeking information. So, and I value not only expert opinions, but that of
But
people
yours.
around me.
Fair point. Fair point. The way I understand it is, I mean, if you want to be really careful, you can wipe down the packaging. The packaging is more damaging than whatever's on the food, most likely.
Right.
But even then, for us, like I just normally take the packaging, dump whatever into bowls, and then toss all the packaging, wash my hands, and that'll be that.
You know, that's awesome. I feel like that's very good. I'm sure Brian's doing that. He's not
It
just
bothers
grabbing
me
the
that
nuts.
literally every human who heard that started laughing.
He's not just getting the box, wiping his hands on it, and digging right in.
Brian's a week away from not licking the packaging for luck as he did weeks before.
Oh my God. Dude, it's wild. We were looking at just that episode, the most recent 2 weeks ago episode of Scam Nation. We went to a bar and it was, this is how fast everything moved. I put my mouth on the side of a bar and blew and then ended up getting a cold. And also a random girl from a bachelor party walked up, not having any idea who we are or what we're doing, and kissed David Rowan on the mouth. Like walked up and announced, "You're the chosen one. I'm sorry, I have to kiss you. We're gonna make out." And then they just made out on camera. Like that was 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
I mean, Rowan's a handsome man.
Well,
you
yes.
know?
I mean, obviously he was the right choice. It was funny to hear their reasoning. They're all like, okay, famous dude's married. Other dude looks like he's working really hard. This guy. And it's like, I don't know. Look, let's face it. The way you get there is Rowan is a very attractive man. But whatever the justification, they were very kind in explaining why he was the chosen one.
Oh my God.
kind of looks like Elrond's son, like from Lord of the Rings, the Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
Like he kind of has that sort of look to him. Like he does. He has like an ethereal quality.
Well, he's done something really interesting, which is he actually bleaches his hair, but then rather than bleaching it blonde, he dyes it gray. So he like artificially ages his hair. Hey, let me see if I can find.
That's like some shit. It's why people think I dye my hair.
Yeah.
They think it looks like something that would be dyed, when in reality, I'm just strategically graying by way of my DNA.
Yeah, you're sort of passing out of your Reed Richards phase, unfortunately. You had a sweet Reed Richards moment going on.
I did. I don't know. Well, but then again, really, it's like,
There you go. Look at that. He's got a youthful cut, but it's straight up dyed gray.
Is that
I've noticed that though. That there's like a class of dude that just went into the like dyeing gray phase because it was in, and it's like that's a great way to disguise from your fucking, you know, your from your 20s to your 30s. while all the suckers like me are just like actually getting gray. You can just be like, no, I just dye my hair like this.
Well, that'll be the surprise if he does it for like 4 or 5 years. He'll be all like, "What? What happened? I thought this was a temporary sojourn."
Yes, I do indeed look like Daryush. Yeah, dude. Man, what are you gonna do? This whole thing is crazy, man. I don't even know what's happening. Like, when are we gonna bring back the movies? What's the first movie you want to go see when the movies are back?
Man, I don't know. Like, I'm really enjoying us cozying up in this little, like, the former studio has become this media room with a snoratorium bed in there for me, and it's awesome. Like, one kid comes over, starts watching shows with me, and then the other kid is like, "Well, I don't know, you want to watch this other show?" And next thing you know, it's just 5 bodies all with just blankets everywhere strewn out. I'm like, I don't know that I want to go back to sitting in a theater spending $75 just to, watch a G-rated movie.
That's a really good point.
That's some dad shit.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty great.
Like that's no. I don't mean this the fun thing. I mean the fact that you immediately assumed that all theater going meant you going to see a G-rated movie with your kids.
It's a little bit
awful
like
lot.
I know. All I'm saying is that is unique to your situation in life. That is not what everybody thinks of immediately when they think of the movie theater.
I'll tell you what, though, man, we're talking about on Cord Killers, like, it's a bit of a monkey's paw situation where we've been wishing for 10 years on our show. We've been wishing for day and date releases where a movie comes out in the movie theaters and in, the home video at the same time. But now we have it. And it's like, it's an unmitigated disaster for Hollywood. And I'm
is
not
it really?
Well,
Why?
well, yeah. Well, think about it. Like that new Kumail Nanjiani movie was all set to have a big old Hollywood premiere. Only everything got tight and everything got pushed, and it was going to get swallowed up in the crunch of whatever this fall is going to look like. So it just ended up going straight to Netflix. And some people feel like that's a great thing because more people will see it this way. But on the flip side, I'm betting Kumail Nanjiani wasn't thrilled with that. I bet he was pretty excited about going to a Hollywood premiere to his movie.
So did they not push it on those platforms where you pay for it?
No, they skipped it entirely. Just Netflix wrote a check and it went straight to Netflix. And so, but also it was like a middling romantic comedy from what I hear.
Yeah,
it was a very low budget affair.
But how are the ones that are being paid for? Like the ones that you pay to see?
I mean, some of them, there's that new, what is it? Is it a...
Like Emma is all over the place.
No, is it a Will Ferrell and I want to say Jennifer Aniston. That's not right. But there's a Will Ferrell movie that went straight to video. It skipped the theatrical release and they only priced it at $9.99 because they were just like, well, we haven't spent, because in Hollywood, you could spend like $9 million on a movie and then the marketers will spend $60 million marketing it.
Right.
And then they'll hit, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, that's who it was. It'll make $59 million, and then the studio will be able to say, well, took a loss on that one. I guess you get no points. And whereas this was a case where they made the movie for $7 million, and it's like, we could probably make it back if we only charge $9.99. Just go straight to VOD.
And they did?
Yeah, they did. They did at that discounted rate.
Wow.
Have they made money?
I mean, I assume. I mean, they got suits on all that stuff. All the actuaries crunching them numbers.
Oh, all these bean counters. They're looking around saying, "Fuck, where's these beans? I had all these beans. And I gotta count them up again. Shit, did you talk to me? I fucking had this in my head with the beans. I was at 17,455 beans, and now I don't remember it."
In the chat, Alucard says, "Didn't Holmes and Watson go straight to streaming?" No, it definitely got a theatrical release that I'm sure those 3 people really enjoyed.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hey, remember when that was a funny concept?
And then we saw the execution.
And John C. Reilly. Yeah.
What?
Well, Carl and John C. Reilly, they were in Step Brothers and they were in Talladega Nights. Like they have legendary kind of comedic chemistry, and yet in that movie, pile of poop. This poop pile, just very high and stinky.
Yeah,
Oh.
Supernova Girl says exactly what happened to me. Interested until you saw the trailer.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh yeah,
how is it set up? Like, has any movie prior to now been released at home and also the movie theater?
there have been a few, but they've been weird things where it's like you can get it at home for $50 on release day or whatever. Like I think the Eddie Murphy vehicle Tower Heist was one of them. But the problem is it's a chicken and egg thing where nobody's willing to do it with a AAA title. The closest to that has been the accelerated release of Pixar's Onward. But nobody wants to do it because they're afraid it would be a disaster. And I guess, yeah, The Irishman was mainly, I mean, it was a Netflix original, though, that had a limited release, but the limited release was only so that they could get Oscar eligibility.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, those don't count. Those are boutique, like super short run things for Oscar consideration, and I mean, I guess like for Scorsese heads, the idea that they can see a big unbroken 4-hour Scorsese movie just got their bingers stiff.
Well, we're coming up on the hour, but so I don't want to get too far into it. But Justin and I were talking about. I pitched my idea that what I think will happen is there will be technically day and date releases, but you know how you go to the movie theater now and there's the regular 2D version of a movie and also a 3D version. I think what'll happen is you could go and there'll be the standard movie, or there'll be a limited showing of the director's cut with 7 more minutes of footage or whatever in it. And the only way to see it will be in the movie theater so that they get all the credibility of saying that they did a day and date release. And if anyone says, well, what about the director's cut? They're like, oh, we don't even know if anyone wants that. We'll see. Maybe in a few months. And then that'll be the way they backdoor getting kind of back to business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think that's going to be the case. That because no matter what, the movie theater is going to have to be more of an attraction than it was in the past.
It's going to have to be an event, a party. It's going to have to be kind of like going to Dragon Con or whatever.
Well,
which, by the way, what's your bet, Bonnie? You think there's any Dragon Con?
Oh, not for you. No, not for you. I think that there will be a Dragon Con. I do. I think things are going to start opening up at the end of May.
I mean, but like,
but who's going to go?
We're talking 50
Yeah.
to 70,000 people all downtown in an event where the joke was always not
Concrete.
if you got, but how much you got sick.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm not saying it's wise.
Are the hotels gonna do? I mean, like these are all hotels that are owned by international, companies. Like, do they say, hey, we want to be a possible epicenter to a breakout? I don't know.
Yeah, when you get to that, I mean, right now everybody's trying to avoid the liability stink bomb, and if not in actually infecting people, then like who wants to pick up that torch and be the ones to rage against that machine? And I don't think Dragon Con's going to be that one.
I don't know. But then again, for those hotels in downtown Atlanta, they're like, fuck out of here. You're telling me I'm not going to take the fucking like one weekend that like builds our entire budget for the whole year? Fuck you. Of course we're going to do it.
Do you know what these rooms cost to maintain? $35 a unit. Do you know what we sell them for at Dragon Con? We sell out in advance at $400 a pop.
Yeah. And that's cheap, right? That's at the con rate.
I don't know. I got a push from an art show that's at the end of May, and they're just like, we got to know if you're committed or not because today's the date, And I'm like, I guess. And they're like, hey, we're not going to make you pay for anything if we're not actually having the show, but we need to know if you're interested. So I'm like, sure, it's fine. And we'll see. I mean, like, school got delayed to May 4th. So that doesn't mean they'll actually go to school on May 4th.
I mean, at least May 4th is after the peak. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that people are kind of getting dialed into the idea that there's going to be one single day that it is the most infected, the most sick beds, the most everything's, and that hopefully, we're all going to be well behaved after that.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, it was last year and I saw somebody on a ventilator and I guess it was last year or the year before. I can't even remember how long it's been, but seeing a person go through all the treatments and realizing that the people who get it really bad wind up in that same position it's not just, oh, you go in for a couple of days and you come out. When it's that lung stuff, that was a month, that was a month getting those lungs repaired so that person could be amongst the living again. So I don't know. It's not like people just get sick and then they're well and then they get to go home.
I mean, I think it is. I think that's exactly what it is. We were talking about how in the near future, friggin' you're going to get yourself a bright, glowing orange wristband that says immune. And that means anyone can bang you at any time and they don't have to worry about catching the disease because you're immune.
Whoa.
Yeah, I brought it full circle. All right, look, that's our hour, man. It's killing me that everyone's showing up just at the end. But
what? Why are you just getting here?
Yeah.
This is what you need to know. You need to know that 5:00 Eastern time is when this shit starts. We're gonna keep doing it as long as we can. We will be back in 3 hours for
with the
Night
proper
Attack
show.
Oh yeah. We'll
This
see
is
y'all.
Night Attack happy hour.
Yeah, dude. We got to figure out where this goes. If it lives in the feed or Patreon reward or what. We'll figure that out.
We'll see
Bring
you
that out
next
next
Tuesday.
tomorrow.
Which is today. So
Stop
we'll see you
dancing
next
to the
Tuesday
music.
soon.
I've got reddest in a happy mood. Keep my groove on.